So you're probably wondering, how in the world are you able to make gems inside of Pets Go? Well, yes, when it's your first time inside of the trading plaza, it can be a little daunting, but it doesn't need to be. While you're rolling pets for a couple of days, hours, however many times it takes for you during the day to get some sort of good pet, there is a method in order to get gems. However, kind of be prepared because it can be a little tricky when you are going inside of the trade plaza. So let's go ahead and get started. So the number one thing that I like to do before I even consider putting anything up on my booth is taking a look at absolutely every single other booth in this plaza, and I'll explain why as we go. So obviously when you take a look at everybody else's stuff, you want to make sure that you're pricing everything correctly for starters. Number two, you want to have competitive prices. Yes, you might be able to see some people actually sell their pets for overpriced prices, but they're not going to sell them as quickly as you think they would. Yes, you might have one or two players out there that have a bunch of gems and they don't really care about how many gems that they spend at that particular moment, but I would rather have all of my pets sell out rather than sitting here for more than an hour hoping that I might be able to make an additional 20 gems, which is not that much. A good thing is you're able to compare prices, right? So you have a person here who's selling a pixie fox. It lets you know that 6 gems is apparently a bad deal, so that means you probably won't. You might want to lower it just a little bit. It kind of stinks because 6 gems is 6 gems and it's not that much. But when you have a greater quantity of them, then it becomes a little bit more better. So let's go ahead and price this at 5 and see what happens. It's still technically a bad deal. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm actually going to have to see what ends up hitting to be a good deal. So even 4 isn't a good deal. What about 3? Is 3 a good deal? Okay, apparently 3 gems is a good deal. So that means it's probably 2 gems in reality. So if I were to sell all of these, that means I would make a whopping 69 gems, which to me is not that much in the grand scheme of things. But it lets me know anything that's below this little rarity right here, 1 out of 47,000, is going to probably be worth around that same price. So let's go ahead and put this up for 4 gems and see what happens. It's still technically a bad deal, so let's go ahead and price match this to be the same price. Alright, so now we have a good deal. So let's go ahead and put this up also for 2 gems and see what happens. This is a great deal. Okay, so pricing's a little confusing sometimes. Alright, I'm gonna leave that at 3 gems, okay? Because it wouldn't make sense for me to put this a little bit more higher than these two because it's not really worth that much. I know that much. Let's go ahead and put up a Wizard Westie and maybe let's put that up for 10 gems and let's see what happens. Okay, so that's technically a bad deal. What if I put it up for 5 gems? Okay, it's good deal, so that's a good deal. So let's go ahead and list that up for 5 each. Then I have 20 of these. So what happens if I were to put it at 8 gems? I feel like it's gonna be a bad deal. Yeah, it's a bad deal still. 6 gems. All right, good deal. All right, so Witch Cat is definitely a lot more lower than the Cupcake, so we're gonna probably have to put this at 2 gems. I'm gonna leave it at 2 gems. I'm gonna be honest. It doesn't make sense for me to put a pet that has a lower rarity higher than the other ones, which are here. And you know what? I'm not gonna really beat somebody up if I sold a pet that's 1 gem less than the other. So I'm not really stressing out about that. And then we have a bunch of enchanted cats and a bunch of enchanted elephants. And I'm gonna be honest, I think these are gonna be around the same price too anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, see, look, two gems is like not even that big of a deal. Which is kind of crazy when you're looking at all of the charts and stuff for like all the pets and everything, like the rarity value and stuff. So you're looking at like a pet that has 1 out of 33,000 and it's only worth 2 gems. So they are buying it as they are, and there's a reason for this. People are buying this at price that they're seeing right now because of resale. So these people are going to go ahead and put this up on their booth for higher. Now, I don't usually do that because it takes too long for me to sell those pets at a higher price because there are better pets out there that are being sold for cheap. So I'm personally not stressing out about this. So it looks like somebody just bought a whole bunch of them, and it looks like we had so many people buying all of these. Holy cow. The same person is just buying them. I mean, if they can make more gems doing it this way, you know, GG's on them. But I have absolutely no use for these, and it's a great way for you guys to go ahead and get gems fast so you guys can get a better pet. And remember, at the end of the day, your main goal is to get better pets. And because it's extremely difficult to get a really good roll, buying it inside of the trade hub is probably going to be your best bet. Alright, so it looks like we're honestly going to probably sell out of our whole booth here, so we just sold out of our entire booth, so GG's on that. Of course, if you guys want to get better rolls, make sure you always constantly pay attention to your shops. You have the potion vending machine, and then obviously you have the index area, which you're able to spend your index tokens, which is really amazing, and then you'll be able to go ahead and upgrade your potions doing so. That way you guys can actually get better rolls and stuff, and it's very important that you guys constantly try to break things as much as possible with boosts. Whether you're AFK grinding overnight or you're basically just chilling around with friends and you are in VC. Remember, you do not have to price it based on what I'm telling you. Obviously, you can make a profit if you are overpricing your pets just by a little bit, but not too much. Like I said before, there's always going to be competitive prices inside of the trade hub, and your main goal at the end of the day is going to be selling these as soon as possible before they're only worth 1 gem, of course. But if you have an abundant amount, it doesn't hurt to actually sell them near a good price, which makes sense for you. If it makes sense for you to overprice it just by a little bit because it's a little bit more difficult for you to get them, then by all means overprice it a little bit. When you are free to play, it is going to be extremely difficult in order to get any type of rare pet. Of course, I would imagine when you guys are free to play, you're probably not even getting remotely near these types of rolls. Now, the one thing that I see a lot of people usually get are the rare pets. Obviously, because there's so many inside of the game right now, whether it's just the rare all the way up to the epic, you'll kind of notice that there is a little bit of a fall inside of those rolls. So we'll look at the basic. The basic has 96 million. Basically, we're looking at 100 million of these cats versus what we would go all the way up, and we'll stop at the epic section. There's only 1.5 million of these. I would honestly say this is probably the equivalent of getting like maybe something rare in Pet Simulator 99 inside of an egg. So they're going to be a little less common to get. And then when you start getting into the legendaries, you'll kind of notice that there's a little bit of a fallback on how many there are. I hatched both of these little gilded ravens, and I know I said hatched because I'm so used to Pet Simulator 99, but there's only 215 in existence. And when you think about that, that's not that many in the game right now. And then obviously we're going to be hitting the more exotic ones, meaning that they're a little bit more difficult to get, and these are all bought with gems. Then you obviously have your cereal rolls, which is something entirely different. These were all purchased with Robux. And don't get me wrong, because I know there's a lot of people that are misinterpreting what this actually means. When you see that Robux amount right there, it's letting you know how much Robux you need in order to purchase it with gems, and that is through the shop. So if you were to hypothetically say, hey, I want to get a dino cat with Robux, you can't go to a booth and buy it with Robux. You actually have to go into this area here and kind of figure out how many you need in order to compensate for that pet. So in theory, you would probably need to purchase the 1600 or 2 of the 450 in order to purchase it. That's all it means. I know there's a lot of people out there right now that are kind of misunderstanding what that icon means, and they're assuming that it works the same way as please donate, and it doesn't work that way. Alright, so while I'm just casually sitting here, I am getting different pets, which are honestly really good when it comes to selling. Of course, the Shadow Griffin is worth at least 3.61 million. I can probably get around 3.8 to 4,000 depending on who's going to buy it. Now, in order to get better rolls, obviously you guys can take a look at my boosts down below. Let's go ahead and ignore the double luck, which is purchased through the exclusive shop, because that's obviously giving me a bigger boost. I am going to be focusing on getting cocktails. Cocktails are really good when it comes to just an overall abundance when you're stacking a bunch of potions. So when you're using like the top tier lucky potions, whether it's this one or if you want to go ahead and use this one, I personally prefer to use the lower tier one because it still works the same way. So for this one, it lets you know that you get 300% plus luck when rolling. Now, for my other one, you get 150, which honestly is a bit of a difference because it reduces it by half. But the problem is for me, because I don't sit here and actually break a bunch of things, I don't get these potions very often. So I would rather use this one versus the 300 plus. I get these as drops, or I will get them inside of the potion vending machine or through the index. Try to get as many potions as possible. It is very important. Don't know how much I need to say that, but for those that are out there that are struggling in order to get something good inside of the game, just make sure you're always paying attention to the shops, because again, these are not easy to get. And two, because they're not tradable or purchasable, tradable, however you guys want to call it inside of the trade hub, these all have to be manually given by you grinding. So it's super duper important that you guys are hoarding as much as possible so you guys can go ahead and stack everything so you guys can get better stuff. So with that being said, I hope you guys have the absolute best luck when it comes to rolling pets and going into the trade hub and selling those said pets so you guys can go ahead and upgrade. Now, I know in due time, I'm pretty sure the game will get a lot more easier when it comes to hatching pets. Until then, how are you guys enjoying Pets Go? Is it a little difficult for you guys? Because I know it is for me right now. And until then, I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye everyone!